On the bill. I had a number of questions. I want to thank my colleagues for the exchange. It has been informative. I had a number of questions. I will not have time to do that, although the governor thinks so little of people that yesterday she thought that we all had 12 or 14 hours just to sit around and do nothing while she was not doing her job. But nevertheless, rather than going to a question debate session, I'm just going to speak on the bill. So, a little background here. What happened in the Bruen case? The Supreme Court of the United States ruled, rightly so in my opinion, that for years the state of New York has been violating the Constitution. Now, we say that. It's a legal way of expressing what happened. But in real terms, what does that mean? It means that New York has been denying people their constitutionally guaranteed liberty and freedom. That's what New York has been doing. And we all know that that has been what New York has been doing. People have touted the old law as being a good law. What the Supreme Court rightly said is that the standard in New York was so arbitrary, so capricious, and I believe even worse than that, Madam President, that people's rights were being denied at the whims of the people who were in charge with deciding whether or not someone has cause, and in New York that meant special need, to have the right to defend themselves. So in practice, how did that go down? Well, the Supreme Court said it was arbitrary and capricious. I say at best that's what is happening. I think at worst, it has been outright disregard for freedom, a distrust of people, which you always see from the tyrants, from the people in good government. They don't trust the people. People aren't smart enough to be free. They're not capable of having and possessing liberty. And at worst, I think there was a racist element. And the facts bear that out. Do you know that a black man in New York City was 100 times more likely of not being able to have the right to defend themselves in the state of New York than a white man upstate? No one can deny that because those are the facts. And the Supreme Court said, enough with the state of New York deciding arbitrarily and discriminatorily who has the right to defend their lives. And so it was struck down. So what do we have in its place here being proposed? Let me explain to the people back home what's really happening here. So I know people think they're cute. The governor thinks this is funny. In fact, I think the governor just thinks this is what she needs to do to get elected. This is not what is needed to be done to protect people. What is proposed here, when you violate the Constitution, it's either a 100% violation or not. But this is more violative. This is more unconstitutional in every shape and form than what was just struck down. And guess what? I know it's a little people, when you say that around here, they wink at you and say, yeah, we know. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's the point. The governor thinks that's the point. She thinks it's all right to tell New Yorkers that the Constitution does not apply to you, that you're not worthy of being able to protect your lives. So we have this not-so-cute attempt to go beyond what has just been struck down. So, under the prior construct, you needed proper cause, special need, translation, will decide if and when, and who is worthy. That's being replaced with good moral character. As I think was demonstrated on the floor here, good moral character is in the eye of the beholder. It's not defined. I think honest people can come to some sort of agreement with respect to what it should mean, but it is in the eye of the beholder. Translation arbitrary, capricious. The same people who have been acting in a racist way, in a discriminatory way, in an oppressive and a tyrannical way, will have the same out. They'll have the same ability to do that. And it gets worse from there. Because there will be a number of ways, a number of provisions in this legislation that those same people will have a place to hang their hat and deny somebody the right to exercise their liberty and their right to protect their lives just because they feel like it. I don't think you're a person of good moral character. Sorry, it's just how I feel. Might be because of the way you look. Might be because of your skin color, your race, your gender, your creed, your religious beliefs. You're not of good moral character. In fact, we hear that in America all the time. That person believes this. That person's a Catholic. There are people out there, I see them on the news. I don't believe Catholics are of good moral character. How could you be? So this is more violative of the Constitution and gives tyrants more opportunity to say no. What is another way they can do that? Training. We heard. In Manhattan, there may not be a place to get that training. In fact, if you live in the inner city, maybe the nearest place to get training is 100 miles away. Is that an unconstitutional barrier? I say yes, and it's going to happen. Cost. Is the state going to cover the cost for a low-income person who wants nothing more than to share in the American dream and say, I'm just as free as everyone else? My life is worth as much as everyone else? Is the state going to cover the cost? Or is one life worth more than another? If a person has to travel 100 miles to go to a range, talking about proficiency, I don't know, are there any ranges in Manhattan open to the public? The Bronx? Are there? Do there have to be? I'm getting a yes. I heard no. But if there aren't, what about that low-income person? Does that mean they don't have the same right as someone who could afford to go to the range, who could afford to travel for training? Proficiency. It's been said on the floor. We don't know yet exactly what that means. I mean, that's a pretty important point. That's another place that is going to be used to tell people, sorry, you don't have the right to protect your life. Are you going to have to become a marksman or a markswoman to be able to exercise your rights under this legislation? When you live in a state where people giggle about the fact that they know that their ultimate goal is preventing people from exercising their Second Amendment right, then I've been here long enough to know that there are going to be people, as they promulgate these rules, that are going to try to do just that. They'll be laughing somewhere in an office in this building saying, hey, I think it was Senator Steck, yeah, let's define proficiency as, you know, hitting a 1-inch target at 400 yards. That'll get them. It's unconstitutional, but it'll happen here, I promise you. Under the old construct, what the court found to be unconstitutional was that people who otherwise should have been able to exercise their Second Amendment right, their right to defend their lives, were being denied that right. That's what they found to be unconstitutional. The insidious nature of this legislation goes one step further. It acts as though more people will have the ability to access the right to carry a gun and protect their lives. It acts as though that's what's happening here. But in the next sentence, it conveniently, in many respects, eliminates the concealed carry permit in the state of New York. Now, what do I mean by that? So before, some people were allowed to carry, other people weren't. But if you had a concealed carry permit, and you have one now, it's really a concealed carry permit. You can carry it about the state. You can protect your life. So the evil of the old construct was some people can carry, others can't, willy-nilly. The evil in this legislation is there really is no such thing as a carry permit. The sensitive places, the places you cannot carry under this legislation, the sensitive places are New York State. It's a big laugh. It's a big joke. Talked to some people this morning. They say, yeah, exactly. It's exactly what we believe should happen. The sensitive place is New York. So, yeah, maybe a few more people, maybe, I doubt it, because there are so many ways more under this legislation that people can be arbitrarily denied. But a few more people might be able to exercise their right and receive a carry permit, but none of them will have any meaning because you can't carry them just about anywhere in New York, especially the last one. Gathering of individuals to collectively express their constitutional rights, to protest or resist. Who defines what that is, when that's happening, where it's happening? Arbitrary, capricious, discriminatory, all with one intent. And now we're going to let the pizzeria owner decide whether or not I can exercise my constitutional right. And someone asked, why would you switch the burden and make the business have to affirmatively say, you're welcome here? We all know why that is. It's a scarlet letter. That's what it's about. It's a scarlet letter. We know in this state, anyone who does business with a gun manufacturer or ammunition manufacturer, they're targeted by this state, by this government. You think businesses are going to want to put that scarlet letter on their storefront? They know they're going to be targeted, and so they won't. And again, no one's being fooled here. That's the point. And that's what's happening here. Oh, but you can carry. But if you run into that pizzeria, you got to leave the gun in the car. That sounds safe, Madam President. Sounds really safe. The state has said, hey, you're of good moral character, you're proficient, you're well-trained, here you are. We trust you to protect your life. We trust you to carry. But wait a minute. If you're going to go into the pizzeria, leave your gun in the car. I have a word for that, but I won't use it here. I'm going to end on the process, Madam President. I'm going to end on the process. I'm going to say something I think a lot of people are thinking, both sides of the aisle. The governor of the state of New York, before her primary, decided to look tough on crime, and is anything but, and declared an extraordinary session, extraordinary, important, urgent, necessary. Dragged us up here. That's okay. It's our job. Dragged us up here, and when we got here, did not have a bill. Did not have a bill to give the legislature. I have a word for that, too. But I'll just say the people deserve better than that. The people deserve better than that. And I know there's going to be a bill signing, and the governor's going to tell the people of New York that all is well now. I've protected you. Protected you. Imagine this is the deceit that occurs here. I've protected you by taking away a little bit more of your freedom. I've protected you because I know better. I know better than you. I'm protecting you by making New York State less safe. That is the lie that the people of the state of New York are going to be told. Because when people are less safe, when people have less freedom, then everyone, all of us, are in greater danger. And here's the truth. when the governor tells the people of the state of New York that they are now, because of this legislation, more safe, the truth of the matter is they will be less safe. And when they wake up tomorrow, here are the facts. If you're concerned about public safety, if you're concerned about the well-being of the people of the state of New York, if you want to call an extraordinary session, if you want to call an emergency session, call it. We'll be here. But please, call it because you want to do something about $5 a gallon gas. Call it because you want to do something about the out-of-control crime marching through the state. Call it, Governor Hochul. Bring us back. Bring us back because you want to do something about the fact that New Yorkers are dropping dead every day from fentanyl overdoses that are being put into the stream of commerce by the Communist Chinese Party, coming through our open border in the southern border of Mexico, and then being welcomed, virtually welcomed, here in New York. Because if you didn't want the fentanyl to be here, you're doing a really piss-poor job of doing something about it, because New Yorkers are dying every day. So go ahead, Governor Hochul. Show that you really care about New Yorkers. Show that you really want to do something about the things that are really affecting New Yorkers. Call an emergency session. Deal with the crime, the inflation, the $5 gas. The fact that people, normal people right now, are trying to figure out how they're going to buy food for their 4th of July barbecue on Monday, because it's either too expensive or not on the shelves. You care about the people? Call us back. Do something about that. This is a disgrace. See you in the courts. You all know this is unconstitutional. You all know this is just a ruse. This is just another attempt to say to the people of the state of New York, we don't trust you. Governor Hochul doesn't trust the people. They're not worthy to protect themselves. And that they're not worthy of affording themselves of the rights that they are supposed to be guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. Madam President, when it comes time to vote, I'll be voting in the negative.